Hey, everybody out there. Welcome to the next session of this great summit. I really have to throw it out to the Travel Trends team. And Dan, this has been a great morning and afternoon, depending on where you are in the world so far. Some great topics. And we're excited about this session where we're really going to dig into optimizing customer service with AI. How we specifically can enhance the sector of tours, activities, and attractions. And really for any type of travel, what AI can do before, during, and after the travel experience. So that's what we're here to talk about. And we have three great panelists to dig into that. So first, I want to talk about pre-trip. How can AI really have an impact in that sales process pre-trip? And I want to start with you, Kira.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. So I'm a conversation designer. I'm a linguist. I come to this from the realm of chatbots. And so that's kind of where I like to really dig in. And one of the exercises we do with operators that we work with is we say, let's start by writing out everything you do in a day. Let's look at that list. And very rarely does an operator ever look at that list. And when I say, hey, what are the things you want to keep doing? What's the fun thing? What like really gets you out of bed in the morning? Almost never is that answering FAQs. And almost never is that, how do I get more people to understand where my FAQs live on my website, right? We spend all this time, we build out that FAQ page, people don't go there. They're looking for in other places. So really where I specialize and where I like to kind of focus is in that save time and increase more sales through the use of a chatbot. So how do you leverage all of this new technology that's coming out around AI? How do we train up a chatbot around your website? So essentially kind of a custom or hybrid LLM, which is a large language model, which is what ChatGPT is. How do you kind of use that and kind of take it and use it to get people kind of further into the booking flow? So one of the great things is, so I build chatbots for Tomis, which stands for Tour Operator Marketing Intelligence Software. And one of the things that we found over the 150 chatbots that I've built for Tomis operators is we found that if we can get somebody into the chatbot experience versus just on your site, they're going to convert 150 to 200% higher than just an average site visitor, because we're giving them happy pathways, right? We're saying, hey, we know we can capture you kind of up here in this high level funnel, and we're going to be able to really quickly walk them through. Here's all of the info you need. Here's the expectation setting pre-trip. And we're going to be able to use a real-time reservation system connection, ping the res system, find an availability that works within the days or weeks that they are in destination, give them, kind of service them up on a platter in terms of booking your experience and moving them forward. So that's where I come to it from. And I think all of the advances in kind of natural language understanding, processing, and those large language models really are the future of, let's kind of make that first customer touch point to just start off on a really great foot.
So Kira, awesome, thank you. You said that someone that comes into the chatbot channel first, instead of just landing on a website, you've seen 100 to 150% increases in conversion, right? I mean, that's it. Like, give us a little bit of sense of that data. How many companies are you talking about? That's a crazy number.
Yeah, so that's across all of our clients, and that's 200 plus chatbots that are live on site, all directly within the tour operator space. So anyone from, we've got whitewater rafting, we've got helicopter tours, kind of the full gambit. And obviously it's a little bit different kind of depending on the tour. Whitewater rafting, kind of a straightforward operation, is going to see closer to that 200% higher conversion rate. It's a little straightforward. A user knows what they're getting. A multi-day tour, something that's maybe going to take a little bit more digging in and understanding of the experience. Maybe we'll see it a little bit lower, but lower being 100% higher than a site visitor we'll take that, right?
Awesome. I want to go over to you, Dan, since you also have chatbots for all different types of purposes. Do you have any data about pre-trip, putting people into the chatbot for sales?
Yeah, absolutely. Customer engagement platform, Bruce. I'm just at the end of the day, it's a chatbot. And yeah, we see the same thing, because when you're engaging and you're having the conversation, you can steer the conversation based on the design to get them where they need to be. Especially when you're looking at the tour and activities section of the travel industry, a lot of these aren't $8 tickets. There's some investment that the customer wants to know that you have. I have questions. I have operational questions. I have questions about what I can bring, what I'm going to get. And designing that in a way to answer those and then end with a revenue opportunity generally sees a much higher conversion rate than someone just popping into the top of the funnel on the website. We've got 500 clients based on sports, live entertainment, and tourism, and we see that across the board in all of them on a higher conversion rate.
Cool. Thank you. All right, let's move on to, we just did pre-trip sales. Now we've sold a trip to someone. Let's talk about how AI can help prepare that customer for the trip. Ben, tell us about what you're doing there, Curated Planet, for that purpose.
Sure. So Curated Planet's a post-booking messaging service, leveraging email, SMS, WhatsApp, OTA messaging to reach the right guest at the right time via the right communication. So we're ingesting all the information from the booking system to deliver messages and reach the customers, where they are, primarily focused on guided tours. It's our belief that by using AI, whether it's machine learning, whether it's language translation or other forms of AI in that regard, a much simpler version than a chatbot, we can deliver 90% of the benefit in terms of routing messages to the right customer at the right time. Our feeling is if the customer has to write into the operator, we've already lost the battle. If they have to pick up the phone and call, we've already lost the battle. How can we make sure that the customer has the information they need for that tour once they've booked the tour? So that's our mentality when it comes to this challenge.
And Dan, at Satisfy Labs, the team's been doing this kind of thing for a while now. Like you said, you work with a lot of sporting events and music festivals, et cetera. Now you're getting into the attraction side of the business. What are you able to do as you prepare customers for the trip?
Well, I mean, simply a well-prepared customer is more likely to be a happy customer and leave a positive experience. So giving them the ability to have the information that they need to know beforehand. And then if they want to communicate to the operator, to have that information available to them in a digital and frictionless way to where I don't have to call. I have an avenue where I can just reach out, get what I need quickly. It does the same purpose of making sure that they're prepared to move to that. Okay, we've done the discovery part well. Now we've done the pre-arrival part well. You're on your way to having a happy customer.
Let me ask you guys all this. I'll ask all three of you. What Dan is describing and what Ben described as kind of preparing for the trip, is that going to lead to better efficiencies for the tour operator running their company and or better user experience for that traveler? And which one do you think is more important? So don't get so easy with the and or. Pick one. Kira.
Okay.
I'm going to go to Kira first. Yeah.
I think it's for the operator, it's the efficiency of that customer being prepared is the key, right? Like we see it all the time when we talk to operators about how much time they're wasting getting waivers signed, right? Where if we can automate and say, we're going to hit them with their waiver 4 times and we're going to change the pathway, right? We can use automation to say, if they sign the waiver, then they're getting this experience. If they haven't signed the waiver, you're going to put that back on them and you're going to say, hey, you guys.
All right, so I'm going to be short here because we're now down to just 10 minutes. You think the main benefit here is for the operator and their efficiency? Benjamin.
I 100% agree with everything that was just said.
Okay.
We can save half the office who's answering calls and doing manual work can be put onto other things.
Perfect. Dan?
Normally, I don't like to be, I agree, but I do agree because this is the part that takes so much operational time. And most of the things that need to be addressed are menial tasks that can 100% be automated in some sort of way. So the more that you can get out of that, those people can do something else to help generate revenue.
Okay, moving on. We now have sold the trip. We've prepared the customer for the trip. Now let's talk about trip arrival and how AI and communications can help really make it a better trip arrival for that guest, that first experience in real life with them and the tour operator. So Ben, talk about how you see AI really benefiting trip arrival?
Absolutely. So our niche in a way is guides, guided tours, and guides are a key element. Once you get out 30 minutes before the tour, that transitions over from the main office, or it should, to the tour guide, and having the proper routing rules such that the guide can be in the flow, check people in, so people can get automated messages if they're not checked in at a certain time, if there are no shows, posting automatically to OTAs to avoid chargebacks, really involving that guide in that process, because they're a third stakeholder that is very important. So that's my 2 cents, is that if you are a tour operator with guides, you definitely need to involve them in this process, and they need to be a part of this communication.
Kira, is there anything that you guys are doing at Tomis that helps the operator with that?
Within the trip arrival space?
The arrival, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things we do is when we design our chatbots, we always design a happy path for "I've just arrived," and being able to basically use that automated bot experience to say, there's always going to be the "I'm running late" question that comes through a chatbot, and making sure we really carefully design that happy path where then the guide, if they have the Tomis app on their phone, they're going to get that notification in real time as soon as that person starts messaging the chatbot and maybe requests, a text conversation with their guide on site. And they'll be able to immediately connect and alter whatever needs to be changed to make sure that we can grab them and adjust as needed.
So I have a basic question, but there might be people watching that have the same question, because you brought up a Tomis app, for example. Dan, Satisfy has been in this for a long time. Is it essential to have an app, like a Satisfy app, a Curated Planet app, a Tomis app? A lot of companies are doing comms through text and WhatsApp, et cetera. Like, how do you see people, the operators, reaching the customers at that pre-trip experience time?
So we don't have a customer-facing Satisfy Labs app. We have internal apps that operations team can use to then have that live.
So how does the operator reach the customer? Hey, we're delayed, so we're going to meet here or there, that kind of communication.
I think the key to this is meeting the customer on where they're at, right? Like, it has to be an omni-channel solution to where if it's only text, well, if this customer doesn't look at their text messages, you have to be able to reach them. International guests, WhatsApp is so important. Social media is someone using Messenger because they're same as WhatsApp out of the country, and then there isn't fees according to that. So you've got to be able to reach the customer in a communication form that they're going to have, and we can't.
So that's really my question. Are you all omni-channel? So you know what the customer wants. They want text, WhatsApp, Messenger, blah blah blah. And because that, now you can reach them in that channel that they want to be reached. Is that a definite yes? Go ahead, Ben.
Yes, definite yes. The one thing that we do unique, we provide each of our operator partners with their fully branded mobile app, and their app actually sees a 50% adoption rate for day tours. So people want to download an operator's app to interact with that operator. Yes, they're chatting over WhatsApp and SMS and email, but when given the chance, they like the fact that they can download a direct channel to reach someone and know that they can reach this company through their official channel.
Okay. So, and Tomis, you have that same kind of thing, but it's probably more of a Tomis app and not a white label for each operator at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But same idea. All right. Again, we're on short time, so I'm going to keep going here. So now we are on the trip. Tell us about what we can do using these chatbots and using AI, integrated messaging, et cetera, while we're on the trip. And I want to put that over to you, Dan.
Yeah, being able to dump people into a chat flow in destination, whether that's at a theme park, a baseball stadium, or a museum, is actually really easy to do and rather low tech. Something as simple as a QR code, and then being able to manage the custom welcome message. And picture yourself being in a theme park, walking around with your family, wanting to know what's the wait on this particular ride, and having that answer. And then being able to offer a revenue opportunity, like, would you like to buy the fast pass? That wait is 20 times less than the original wait. That is as simple as just getting someone into the chat via mobile phone, or asking, my kid wants chicken fingers. Where's the closest place for me to get chicken fingers where I'm at right now? And being able to offer those directions directly to that information without me having to find a park employee or physically go out of my way to find that answer, by just providing the ability to use my cell phone, jump into the chat function and ask the question. That really helps a customer experience of, they remember things like that once they get home.
Ben, you're more on the tour side than the attraction side. What's your perspective on what you can do on trip?
I think on trip really revolves around for guided tours. I'm with the guide. So if I have questions, I'm going to ask him. I'm probably not going to be looking at my phone. But there are situations at the very end of the tour, for example, we can prompt the user, "Hey, how was your experience with your guide today?" And if I leave 1 star, all of a sudden the operator can get that message instead of the OTA. So the operator has time for reconciliation, and 2, we can connect that review into the guide for tipping, for reviews, for all of those things. But it is very different from a stadium, as Dan just said.
Yeah, because the guide's right there. Okay, so you started up the last part of this journey, which is post-trip, right? Because we've covered the entire journey here until post-trip, and that's where we are now. So Kira, talk to us about what can happen post-trip.
Yeah, I think what Ben was hinting at there is kind of the key thing to focus on as a tour operator is unifying the entire experience. So even at the end of the trip feels in line with the customer support that they've gotten from the very beginning. So whether it began with a chatbot, it began with a phone call, began with a website, you want that to feel unified all the way through to the end. So at Tomis, we focus a lot on that post-trip message. So somebody's walking away from their whitewater rafting experience. Our best guess is that, after that half-day rafting, they're going to be getting a beer 30 minutes after they walk off the river. That's when we want to send them a text message. Text messages has the highest open rate. We want to send them that message that says, "Hey, we really hope you enjoyed your trip with a certain guide. Feel free to leave us a review, drive those reviews, but also keep that in line." So not only is that a text prompting for a review, but it's opening up a conversation. What would you have done differently? The end user, who's then sitting there having a beer at the end of their trip, is able to reflect back, not only leaving a review, but is saying like, okay, I see that customer journey kind of all in one place.
Anyone else want to chime in on that? Because I believe we have some Q&A coming in with our 2 or 3 minutes remaining.
I agree with Kira as far as like speed to get to the customer is at the utmost important. Our attention spans, let's say they're just not what they used to be. And whether I had a great experience or a bad experience, the further I get away from that experience, the less likely I'm going to be able to tell you about it if it's positive. So being able to reach out to them, get them in that conversation, you're able to, again, steer that where you want it to go. And if it's negative, you can jump in front of it.
Right. Okay. We got about a minute left. This is a really interesting question that came up. So thank you, Ankush, for putting this out there. Talking about what recently happened with Air Canada's chatbot, where they had to uphold a policy which didn't really exist, right? The chatbot was hallucinating. So what measures are needed to ensure that a chatbot doesn't make big errors that could lead to a lot of legal consequences or you having to shell out a lot of money, et cetera? Who wants to take that one on?
Yeah, I want to jump in first because this is, I think, one of the most important things to know about the Air Canada situation is it wasn't a large language model. It wasn't a hallucination. It wasn't an old model that we built chatbots on. So it wasn't a ChatGPT creating a policy. It was an intentional designer at the time essentially built an answer that didn't cover the full breadth of the question that was asked. And that's why I always recommend that if you're going to build out a chatbot, work with a company that has conversation designers that you can interface with, who understand the industry that you're building for, all of the happy paths that need to be built out, and take a look at your website and all of your blog content, social media posts, because that's what a lot of those like large language model layers that are now kind of being accused of hallucinating, a lot of those are not actual hallucinations so much as it's you have an old policy somewhere on your site that is going to get surfaced when we do a site scrape, something like that. And so what we spend a lot of time doing here at Tomis is we work through all of that, and we actually have a system that runs and says, hey, we have.
I'm going to have to cut you off.
Yeah.
Kira, you answered the question. Thank you. Human error, not chat error. It sounds like. Benjamin, Dan, Kira, that was a great, fast session. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.